This is a digital video of the Bourg BSTd twin tower with rear exit stacker and SBM4 Bookletmaker, and this is a test run of the CD booklet. We're running a special booklet test run, Ron. This is the one for your job. We're running it on 5 3/4 by 10 3/4, trimming down to 5 3/4 by 4 3/4, and then of course we can cut them in half, and we're putting one staple in the center of each. So this is our test run demo documentation. That's your set entering into the stitcher being stapled. And that's the set entering into the folder. We're running 13 signatures, 52 pages. This is running at top production speed with 13 sheets. This is what the finished booklet will look like. We're going to send you some samples. We run them in 10s and rubber band them. We're running one booklet every 3 seconds, so that basically translates into 20 booklets a minute. About 1,200 to 1,300 booklets an hour. This is the test paper that we're using. This is a good quality. I think it's a 70 or 80 pound gloss. It's the only gloss paper that we have. But it is real important that the sheets, you know, lay flat. When you're feeding a narrow sheet like this, a lot of wave or ripples and problems like that become critical. Okay, we've run out of paper on bin 6. This completes the video, our test run of the narrow booklet. Now I want to mention some things. First of all, we did have some things we had to make you aware of. In the automatic mode, the stitch heads can only go together 3 and an 8. It's the closest you can get them together. So what you have to do is, if you want them closer than that, then you have to manually move them in closer. And the same thing goes for the trimmer. The trimmer will only go down to 4 7/8. So that last 1/8 of an inch, you have to manually move it in. These automated systems are designed that way, and there's nothing we can really do to change it, but it's not a big deal. You can still change it manually. There is a staple, as you can see, the staple's slightly out of center in the booklet, but this is with us not adjusting it manually the rest of the way. So all you'd have to do is do a manual adjustment if that's an issue. I don't know how critical it is that the staple be perfectly in the center, but it's pretty close to the center, as you can see there. But we're going to send you some of these samples so you can see a little bit better, and also we're going to go ahead and move the staple heads a little closer and send you some samples with the stitch heads moved closer together, and that puts the staples almost perfectly in the center between your sizes. Very important that the paper be, you know, in good condition. You know, that's paramount when you're running these kinds of jobs. It would be really wonderful if you could run 8.5 by 11 or 6.5 by 11, because that extra ½ an inch does make a little bit of difference. But the 5 3/4 ran good. We prefer 8.5 by 11. Especially for high production runs, but keep in mind that you're feeding 13 sheets of paper, and that means that you have to run split tower. You have to run, in this case we're running 7 on tower A and 6 on tower B. So no matter what you do, as soon as you go to 2 towers, your production slows down because you have to feed a set out of tower B, and then it has to match up with tower A. Now the speed that we were running is maximum speed, maximum production, as you can see turned up all the way here on the knob, on speed 3. Now it is possible to go up to speed 5. However, it all depends on the paper. It all depends on if you have static issues or what kinds of problems. That once we get in production and we're running your job, then we can get a better handle. If you want to send us some samples of the paper that you're going to be running, that is also helpful, because, you know, it's almost impossible for us to duplicate exactly what you have. But it is important. I mean, you guys have been printing for some time, to keep in mind the importance of the sheets laying flat. Also, it's important that the paper be long grain. Now what that means is that when, like these sheets here, we cut out of 2335, the grain needs to be running this way. Because if you try to run short grain paper on that thin coated stock, it'll want to roll up like a scroll. It'll be very difficult to try to feed it through any of these systems. So these are things that you need to look at and address prior to the printing, prior to our getting up there with the machine, to make sure that these things are taken care of. I was not aware that you were splitting these booklets in half. I might have missed it when we talked about it. I remember you said you had a 5 3/4 or 6 inch by 11 booklet to run, but I did not realize you were splitting them in half. But it is possible to run these 4 up, but then you would have to run the other 2 staples through some other machine, you know, like a saddle stitcher or something like that. It might be something to consider in the future with the quantities that you're running. If you have any questions about the system, Ron, or anything you wish to discuss, please feel free to give us a call. 352-799-8393. We appreciate it, and we look forward to meeting you. Bye.